Please, God, no. Sounds perhaps hard-hitting, perhaps depressing. Who's to say? Sign me the f up. Why are you so cute? Why are you so cute, baby? Apparently it's a chonky bitch, so. Well, hello, welcome back to my channel. Shoshana here to talk about some friggin' books that I'm excited for that are coming out next year in 2025. I wanted to record this the other day when I was a bit casual and slouched over and sitting at a weird angle because of my foot. But because of that weird angle I was sitting at with my foot elevated and my slouchy, my back and like hips and legs hurt so bad after recording that one video. So I was like, no. And today I still have my foot wrapped up, but I'm just gonna leave it down. I'm not gonna sit weird because yeah, that was a horrible mistake. So it happens when you're pushing 40 and sit all weird and like not with good posture. At least that's what happens to me. So yeah, going through the list of books that I have on my anticipated releases list. As per usual, I'm sure I will add things as the year goes on next year, things that I didn't realize were coming out, and it might change with things getting pushed back. Some of them on this list might not actually come out or might come out later in the year than I have, and so on and so forth. First, I wanted to just look at the stats for my anticipated releases list for 2024 and see how many of those I actually got to. I kept track of the ones that I pre-ordered, the ones that I did read, whether I pre-ordered them or read them from NetGalley or the library or whatever, just ones that I read, ones that I picked up but DNF'd, and then a couple that I just genuinely lost interest in. So at the start of the year, I had 27 on the list, but 4 of them did end up, either they were just unknown and I was like, wishful thinking, or they got pushed back. So we ended up with actually 23 on this list that came out that I could have picked up. I did order 5 of them. I had NetGalley e-arcs for a lot of these. I didn't actually write that down, but that 13. So yeah, 23 and 13 of them I had NetGalley e-arcs for. I read 14 of them, which is 60.87%. I DNF'd 2, which is 8.7%, which is honestly mind-boggling to me, truly. And there was only one that I marked as genuinely losing interest in. And of the ones that I did actually read, my average rating was 3.69. So, you know, we had some hits, we had some misses. There were a couple 2.5s. Oh, hello? I have a kitty pawing at me for attention. Why are you so cute? Why are you so cute, baby? You just want to chill right here? And then I did have a 5-star. Well, I had one 5-star that was not surprising, When the World Tips Over by Jandy Nelson. I've been waiting ages for a new Jandy Nelson. And then one that was a little surprising, not because I expected to not like it, but the first book in the series, I think I gave like 3.75 or something. But The Blood-Dimmed Tide by Stephen Arion, book 2 in that series, I gave 5 stars. I really liked it. And then in Education and Malice by S.T. Gibson, I gave 4.5 stars. Can I put you down, or can you just sit right here? Is that okay? You're just a little heavy and I need my arm. She is like a little baby. She would just sit here like this. Yeah. I can't do this all day though, my dear. Can I put you on this side? Okay, cool. See how long I can do this. But yeah, so pretty successful enough, I would say, for anticipated releases. I got to the large majority of them. Now, moving into 2025. The ones I currently have on my list. January has several, and a couple of these, well, actually, yeah, one? I don't know. I have e-arcs for some of these. This one, I don't have the e-arc yet. I requested it. I don't know if I'll get it. It's like pending still. On January 7th, bye-bye. On January 7th, Breath of the Dragon by Fonda Lee and Shannon Lee. This is the first book in a new fantasy series. And it says, the little blurb I have, some of these I just have the blurb. Some of them didn't have a blurb really at all, so I do have a shorter like synopsis, but This is a blurb. Says, Breath of the Dragon is an intriguing and emotionally resonant read that will captivate fans of fantasy, adventure, and martial arts, particularly those who enjoy coming-of-age stories, Asian-inspired mythology, and tournament arcs, making it a perfect fit for readers who crave epic quests, self-discovery, and heroic journeys. I don't love tournaments, so we shall see, but it's fondly, I'm very much anticipating this. For sure. January 14th has two that I have on my list. The first one being Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. This is horror. I'm not like, I think I've just read the one Grady Hendrix, and I liked it quite a bit. I'm not a big horror reader, and I haven't read like more Grady Hendrix, because some of it just sounds like, yeah, like kind of cool or whatever. This one, though, the premise just sounds, I don't know, sounds very, very intriguing. Says, they call them wayward girls, loose girls, girls who grew up too fast, and they're sent to Wellwood House in St. Augustine, Florida, where unwed mothers are hidden by their families to have their babies in secret, to give them up for adoption, and most important of all, to forget any of it ever happened. We have a main character named Fern, and it says, Fern meets a librarian who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girls for the first time in their lives. Sign me up. Sounds fun, you know? The other one on January 14th is Lightfall by Ed Crocker. I had not heard of this until Elliot Brooks, talked about it, and it's the first book in a new fantasy series, the Everlands series, and the blurb is a novel of vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers. Lightfall is the stunning debut epic fantasy by Ed Crocker for fans of Jay Kristoff's Empire the Vampire and Richard Swan's The Justice of Kings. And Elle pointed out, and I agree, like those are random comp titles. They don't seem to go together. So I'm curious to see. I actually haven't read either of those. I do want to read The Justice of Kings, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and just what I've heard about it. And Empire the Vampire, I read, like, I tried to read the, what am I trying to say, sneak peek chapter, like the beginning, like, try chapter, and I simply could not. I've read Jay Kristoff in the past, though, and I'm just kind of over Jay Kristoff. So I hope the comparison does not come from the writing style. Please, God, no. I hope it just comes from, like, dark, gritty vampire stuff, because sign me up for that, for sure. Another one in January, coming out on January 21st. I do have a NetGalley e-arc of this one. The Rainfall Market by Yu Yong Guang. And this one seems like a magical realism, contemporary fantasy kind of deal. And the blurb I have says, if you could swap your life for a better one, which would you choose? On the outskirts of Rainbow Town, there is an old abandoned house. They say that if you send a letter detailing your misfortunes there, you could receive a ticket. If you bring this ticket to the house on the first day of the rainy season, you'll be granted entrance into the mysterious Rainfall Market, where you can choose to completely change your life. That one I have to read soon, since it's coming out next month. And then on January 21st, another one, The Wind on Her Tongue by Anita Kopacz. This one, I think, is fantasy. Is it? I'm not real sure. I think so. I'm pretty sure it's fantasy. I didn't notate it, but the blurb sounds like it. And it's a companion novel to a different book that I have not read, but since it's a companion, I think it'll be fine. It says, in this lyrical and stirring companion to the spellbinding Shallow Waters, Oya, the Yoruban deity of the weather, is brought to life during 1870s America. Perfect for fans of Children of Blood and Bone and Black Sun. Those comps, I did actually enjoy Children of Blood and Bone quite a bit. Really did not like the second book, DNF'd it, never continued, and people who did continue, I've seen mostly negative things. But that first book, man, and the premise, and the cultural stuff, the mythology, very cool. And Black Sun, same thing with Black Sun, actually. So many people loved that book. I loved it. I DNF'd the second book, and then even people who finished the series are like, yeah, okay. That second book, everyone says, is like no bueno. But I like those comp titles. I am intrigued. But this one, I just don't know. It sounds also like it could be kind of a more literary fantasy, magical realism type of writing style. I don't know. That could could kill it for me, but I'm gonna check it out. The last one on my list in January is another one that I'm like, I almost didn't put it on the list, but I'm intrigued. It is another debut fantasy, and it is The Outcast Mage by Annabelle Campbell, and it's a glittering debut fantasy. A mage bereft of her powers must find out if she is destined to save the world or destroy it. Perfect for fans of Andrea Stewart, James Islington, and Samantha Shannon. Not a fan of any of those. I've never read Samantha Shannon or James Islington, and I DNF'd the second book in that one Andrea Stewart series. So, moving into February, this first one I have already read. I had a NetGalley e-arc for it. Coming on February 1st is The Land Beyond the Waste by B.F. Peterson. Now, I was a little confused about this because there is a second book on this list from B.F. Peterson coming out later in the year, and this one, The Land Beyond the Waste, I could not find like anywhere other than on NetGalley. And the other book coming out later in the year, I kept seeing called her debut, called this author, B.F. Peterson. It was her debut novel, and I'm like, but this other one's coming out in February. Like, it's the same author, right? And it sure enough is. They're companions, kind of. This one is the prequel, though. So this first book, The Land Beyond the Waste, it's like a prequel to the other one coming out later in the year. And so you don't have to read this one, but it does set up the world, and it seems like the other book that's coming out later in the year, that is the first book in the actual series, is set like at least a generation, maybe a couple generations, I'm not sure, after the events in this book. So there's that. And the blurb, when Ridara, the mixed-raced bastard daughter of a tribal king, finds out that the queen of a neighboring country is murdering tribespeople in dark magic rituals, her father refuses to believe her and banishes her to avoid the risk of war. She and her loyal brother Ander strike out through a desert wasteland to seek the fabled land of elves and dragons, where they hope to find magic strong enough to defeat the queen. But even if they find the elves, how will Ridara convince them to save a tribe of prejudiced, short-sighted humans? Are her people worth saving? And if so, how much is Ridara willing to sacrifice? So this one, I won't like get into like a review of it right now, but yeah, I'm intrigued. I will just say, again, not getting into a whole big review of it, I wasn't like obsessed with this. I'm not like, oh my god, but man, it has such cool fucking concepts. I didn't love the execution of everything, but like elves that are dragon riders and they have this magic, and there's kind of the history and the lore that we learn about. It's really cool. I'm intrigued. The other book, though, that's coming out later in the year, that's like the first official book in the series, it's like a university settings. I don't know. I'm intrigued, though. Next in February, on February 11th, is Under the Same Stars by Libba Bray. This is young adult. It is fantasy, historical, and the blurb is from Libba Bray comes an evocative and groundbreaking young adult historical mystery that examines truth, rebellion, reconciliation, and what must be sacrificed for a better world. So actually, I don't know that it is fantasy. I'm just going to put it as historical. Yeah, I'm not so sure. But it's Libba Bray. I'm intrigued. Also on February 11th, The Crimson Road by A.G. Slatter. I do have a NetGalley e-arc of this, and I picked this one up because it is part of the other, it's like companion novels, but I read the one book last year, Briar Book of the Dead, and I was surprised with how much I enjoyed it. It's like witchy poo stuff. The blurb for this one is a captivating dark gothic fantasy set in the same universe as the award-winning authors All the Murmuring Bones, The Path of Thorns, and The Briar Book of the Dead. I have not read those first two. I probably will at some point now, though. And this says, a tale of vampires, assassins, ancient witches, and broken promises. Perfect for readers of Alex E. Harrow, Hannah Witten, and Alexis Henderson. So yeah, I'm intrigued, because in the last book that I read, The Briar Book of the Dead, it's mostly just the witches in this village, but there is talk of the vampires, and I was like, I want to know more about these vampires. And then I learned that it's part of this kind of companion novel series. So I was like, oh, okay. And it sounds like we're getting more of the vampires here. So I'm excited about that. On February 18th, Cursebound by Sada El Arifi is coming out. This is book 2 in the Fadebound series, which I I liked, but I did not love, and most people didn't love it. The Feybound blurb is a captivating read for fans of lush fantasy worlds, queer romance, and epic adventures who crave a story that explores the complexities of loyalty, identity, and forbidden love amidst a richly detailed and immersive Fey court setting. I do want to check out this second book at least though. Now, if I read this one and it's like, I'll probably just be done at that point. This is one that I was waiting for a while now. It's coming out, supposedly now I see, February 25th. I could be wrong here. The Hero's Equinox by Antoine Bondelet. This is the next book in the T.J. Young and the Orishas trilogy, which started out with the first book as kind of middle grade, upper middle grade, age range, and young adult technically, but it leaned a little younger, I would say. And it's like Percy Jackson / Harry Potter-esque, but we have our main character, T.J. Young. He is a Black American kid, and I think either one of his parents or both of his parents they're from Africa. I can't remember. I think they're from Nigeria, right? Yeah, because they're from Lagos. One or both of his parents are from there. So there's like the cultural elements are there, and in this world, magic exists. Some people can wield magic, some cannot. And it's like, I say it's similar to Harry Potter in the fact that like there's the normal people who are non-magic wielding, and then there's the magic people, and it's kind of like their secret society, right? Their secret newspapers that only they can see, or their, websites that tell them the news going on in their world, and camps for children, like summer camps where all the magic kids go, and then schools and universities. So the second book is TJ going off to this school, and the first book is him at this summer camp. And yeah, I'm just very excited. I really like the series. I think it's a really solid young adult series, and more people should pick it up. And it pulls on mythology and everything from different cultures around the world as well, which is very cool. Moving into March, I have an ebook from NetGalley of this one as well, and I'm excited. God, I hope. The cover? Shut up. Rainbow shit, colorful shit. It's so pretty. Oh my God, I just love it. A Gentleman's Gentleman by TJ Alexander. This is historical, and the blurb is simply, from the acclaimed author of Chef's Kiss, a groundbreaking trans-regency romance that's both delightfully witty and refreshingly iconoclastic. And I actually want to pull up the larger blurb for this one, because I don't know, man, it sounds real great. The notoriously eccentric Lord Christopher Eden is a man of unusual make and even more unusual habits. He prefers to live far from the prying eyes and ears of the ton, and would rather have the comfortable company of his childhood cook and his aged butler than the swarm of servants and hangers-on befitting of a man of his station. But Christopher's pleasant, if occasionally lonely life is appended when he receives word from his lawyers that according to his late father's will, he must find a wife by the end of the season if he intends to keep his family's fortune and the Eden estate. Christopher cannot imagine a worse fate, as he is not attracted to women. His chances of making a wife happy are slim. Furthermore, if his quest to marry has any hope of succeeding, he must move to London post-haste and acquire some suitable staff. With its heady combination of dry wit, slow-burn romance, and nuanced portrait of trans identity, A Gentleman's Gentleman stands to transform the historical romance genre as we know it. Sign me the fuck up. The author themselves are trans, non-binary. God, why can't I talk today? Jesus Christ. And I don't know, I'm just excited. I hope it's like a fun time. And then another one in March 18th, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is another prequel to The Hunger Games. This is Haymitch's story of when he was in The Hunger Games. So this one's technically sci-fi, dystopian, whatever. And I didn't love Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but that was simply because of the abusive character, because of Snow, and the tactics and the thought process that he had toward another character, especially towards the end. It genuinely was kind of triggering and upsetting for me, and it just made that not such a fun time. And just in general, I don't know. I don't think we needed that story necessarily from that character's perspective. I will fucking die on this hill. That story could have been told from Sejanus's perspective. We would have learned the same things about the origination of the Hunger Games from a much more interesting and compelling fucking POV. I don't think Snow was a compelling POV, even without the element that was like a little triggering for me. So I don't think that was like a shitty book or anything, but I just personally didn't have a great time with it. I will never reread it, I don't believe. But this one, I'm excited for. Sign me the fuck up for some more Haymitch all day. Moving into April, this one, I'm like, I'm gonna try it, but there's a huge like asterisk on it. It is Don't Sleep with the Dead by Nevo. I need to give up with Nevo. The only reason I am going to try this one is because it is kind of a sequel, I guess, to The Chosen and the Beautiful, which is a Great Gatsby reimagining, and this one is like after the events of that, I think. The blurb synopsis: Nick Carraway, paper soldier and novelist, has found a life and a living watching the mad magical spectacle of New York high society in the late 30s. He is good at watching, and he's even better at pretending to be straight, pretending to be human, pretending he's forgotten the events of that summer in 1922. On the eve of the Second World War, however, Nick learns that someone's been watching him pretend, and that memory goes both ways. When he sees a familiar face one very dark night, it quickly becomes clear that, dead or not, damned or not, Jay Gatsby isn't done with him. In all paper there is memory, and Nick's ghost has come home. Might DNF it, I don't know, we'll see. There's a huge asterisk on that one. Then on April 15th, The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I had seen this one on NetGalley and like looked at the blurb, but then like not requested it because your girl needs to chill the fuck out. But then I saw, I think, Bethany talking about this, and I'm intrigued. This is fantasy. From an electrifying new voice in epic fantasy comes The Raven Scholar, a masterfully woven and playfully inventive tale of imperial intrigue, cutthroat competition, and one scholar's quest to uncover the truth. Apparently it's a chonky bitch, so we'll see when/if I get to that one. But then on April 29th, one of them is When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vita Kelly. This is fantasy. I do have an e-arc of this. When the Tides Held the Moon by Vanessa Vita Kelly is a captivating read for anyone who's ever yearned for a love that defies the boundaries of the world and is drawn to stories of self-discovery, found family, and the transformative power of forbidden love, particularly for those in the LGBTQ+ community. So it seems to be a fantasy romance. The cover is so cool. Oh my God. And as I keep saying, I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Another one on April 29th is The Floating World by Axie-O. I saw this on NetGalley too, but I didn't request it. This is the start of a new series. I've never read from Axie-O. Final Fantasy meets Shadow and Bone in this lighthearted romantic fantasy reimagining of the Korean legend of celestial maidens. We shall see. And then May 13th, The Sorrow of the Sea by Stephen Arion, the third and final book in the Nightingale and the Falcon series trilogy. This is fantasy, and I won't read the synopsis for this one, but for the first book in the series, The Judas Blossom, the synopsis is: it's a gripping and immersive read that will captivate fans of historical fantasy and epic adventures, particularly those drawn to stories of war, betrayal, and the complexities of power, making it a perfect fit for readers who crave richly detailed and action-packed tales of the Mongol Empire's conquests. I think that was like the Google AI thing of it, but yeah, historical, military. The fantasy element doesn't really come out to play too much until the very end of the first book. And man, when it did, I was like, hold on a second. I am very excited. And yeah, the second book I gave 5 stars, as I said earlier, because it was one from this year. And yeah, I'm very, very, very excited for this one. Another one on May 13th. There's like a shit ton on May 13th. This one is Ascension by S.T. Gibson. This is the second book in the Summoner's Circle. The first one was Evocation. And I'm intrigued. This is one, like, I definitely don't know that I'll buy it. It's not really dark academia because they're not in school, but one of them is a professor. There's sorcery afoot. There's magic wielding and secret society type stuff, and kind of a polyamorous situation set up. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I'll say. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I want to check out the second book to see. And then another one in May 13th. This one, spoiler alert, this was not on my list until, I won't say too much, but recently I have been reading the First Law trilogy, and a little bit of a spoiler, I'm a fan. So The Devils by Joe Abercrombie is coming out, and sign me all the way the fuck up, man. Says a brand new epic fantasy from New York Times bestselling author Joe Abercrombie, featuring a notorious band of anti-heroes on a delightfully bloody and raucous journey. Holy work sometimes requires unholy deeds. Like right now, currently, I'm just like literally anything Joe Abercrombie writes, I will read, and I plan to. And then the last one in May is once again on May 13th. Oh no, it's not the last one, but the last one on May 13th. And I do have an ebook of this from NetGalley, and that is Awake in the Floating City by Susanna Kwan. This is sci-fi, dystopian, and the blurb is an utterly transporting debut novel about the unexpected relationship between an artist and the 130-year-old woman she cares for, two of the last people living in a flooded San Francisco of the future. The home neither is ready to leave. Sounds perhaps hard-hitting, perhaps depressing, who's to say? May 22nd, this one, I read the first book in this series. I got it from Goldsboro, and I didn't like love it, but I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep it because I want to check out the next book and see. Didn't realize the next book, the second book, I think came out last year as well. Have not read it yet, but the third book is coming out in 2025, and that is Damned by Genevieve Cogman. It's the Scarlet Revolution series. It's like the French Revolution, but with vampires, basically. And yeah, the first book, I can't remember what I gave it. Did I put it in my thing? Nope, I didn't. I think I gave it like 3.25 or something. And yeah, it's such a pretty like edition too, but I just wasn't obsessed, you know? But maybe I'll be obsessed with the second one. And then on May 27th, another T.E. Kinsey from the Lady Hardcastle series, The Beast of Littleton Woods. Again, I'm not caught up with the series yet, so this one, maybe I'll get caught up by then. But this is the 12th book in the series, and it's a historical mystery series. Now the last one for May 27th, Harmattan Season by Tochi Onyebuchi. I had not heard of this one until I saw Bethany talk about it. It's fantasy, and the blurb, award-winning author Tochi Onyebuchi's new standalone novel is a hard-boiled fantasy noir. Raymond Chandler meets P. Jelly Clark in a post-colonial West Africa. Oh, really? Hello. And I only read one thing from Tochi Onyebuchi, and I didn't love it, but it was so many years ago, and it was, what was it? What was the name of the book? Beasts Made of Night. It was young adult, I'm pretty sure, and I just remember hating the ending. And I haven't read anything else, but that sounds right up my alley, I hope. Moving into June. On June 10th, we have The Witch Roads by Kate Elliott. And this is fantasy. It's the first book in a new series. When an arrogant prince and his equally arrogant entourage get stuck in or let her halt as part of, I cannot read, brutal political intrigue, competent and sunny deputy courier Ellen, once a child slave meant to shield noblemen from the poisonous Paul, is assigned to guide him through the hills to reach his destination. When she warns him not to enter the haunted spires, the prince doesn't heed her advice, and the man who emerges from the towers isn't the same man who entered. The journey that follows is fraught with danger. Can a group taught to ignore and despise the lower classes survive with a mere deputy courier as their guide? I've never read any Kate Elliott. I want to, though. And her one series, I did a try chapter for as part of my series TBR thing, and I plan to try to start that next year. So that's why that's on the list. June 10th, this one I do have a NetGalley e-arc for, and that is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Fantasy. The blurb, Santo Domingo de la Calzada, 1532. London, 1837. Boston, 2019. Three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high and one grows deep and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. I've been quite hit or miss with V.E. Schwab, and several things in recent years that she has put out just haven't intrigued me, but this definitely does. Then on June 17th, we have A Far Better Thing by H.G. Perry. This says, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell meets A Tale of Two Cities in H.G. Perry's A Far Better Thing, a heartrending fantasy of fairy revenge set during the French Revolution. We're loving doing French Revolution with paranormal. Can you come on this side, baby girl? And then June 19th, A Dawn of Fate and Fire by Marielle Lares. This is the second book in the Son of Blood and Ruin series. And I didn't love that as much as I wanted to, but I didn't hate it, and I'm intrigued enough. I want to see what we do with the second book. It was touted as Mask of Zorro reimagining, gender-bent Mask of Zorro. Love Mask of Zorro, Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Love that shit, so I was like, sign me the fuck up. It's fantasy. But yeah, it was mostly, I think, the pacing, and there was like one whole scene that I just was like, what the hell did we do that for? Just some stuff that wasn't executed quite as well as I wanted to, but I did like it. June 24th is The Other B.F. Peterson, and that is The Illyrian Code, and it's the first official book in this series, which is the Treaty of Ariandor. And the synopsis or the blurb is like, oh God, this is why I'm like, I don't know, man. Fourth Wing meets the Atlas Six in this epic fantasy set in an elite university where 4 students test their mettle to become part of an elite order of dragon riders. Having read the prequel book, I'm intrigued. I liked a lot of what the author did, and I liked a fair amount of the elements and how they were executed. I didn't love all of it. I hope this one doesn't read like super juvenile because of this, and it sounds more like romancy. The prequel book, there was like kind of a budding romance, sort of maybe, but not prominent. It was not a fantasy romance at all. This sounds like could be, I don't know. We shall see. And then moving into July, on July 15th, we have the next, and I think final installment in this Forever Desert novella series. And this one is The Memory of the Ojisi by Moses Ose Utomi. I've been enjoying this series. It's novellas, so they don't like hit me quite as like much as I want them to. They're not quite as impactful. And I liked the first book the best so far. The second book, there was something with a character and some plot stuff that I just was like, wait, what? And it didn't make sense and I didn't love it. But I'm really hoping that once this novella series is done, this author is going to publish a full-length novel. I hope, because I will snatch it up because I do like a lot of what he does. And the world is just really cool. It's very like folk tale-esque, and yeah, I like a lot of what he does. The last one I have for July is coming out on July 29th. Birth of a Dynasty by Chinaza Bado. I believe it's a new series. Yes, new trilogy. Combining the political intrigue of She Who Became the Sun with the gorgeous world building of Children of Blood and Bone, Birth of a Dynasty is the start of a thrilling epic fantasy trilogy centered around 3 families' fight for power in Akabulin, a land where magic is feared, giants are real, and prophecy holds sway. Another one mentioning Children of Blood and Bone. And I read She Who Became the Sun, and I liked it more than I thought, but I didn't love it, and I didn't want to read the second book. But the political intrigue element, I like that comparison. In September, on September 25th, we have the 5th and I believe final book in the Thursday Murder Club series by Richard Osman. This is mystery, kind of cozy. There's some drama sometimes, but it's a group of friends who are living in a retirement community, these old folks in their old folks' home, and they're kind of unlikely friends, and they were solving murders just like as a little club hobby activity. And then in the first book, there is a murder in their vicinity, and they get involved in helping to solve it. And that's what the series is. Also on September 25th, another one that also does not have a cover, Amina, The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi, Book 2, is supposedly coming out by Shannon Chakraborty. I am very excited. It is fantasy, historical, quest, I guess, adventure. And I really, really loved The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, so I have been waiting for this one for a hot second. And then coming out in September, I believe, this one I'm very much unsure of, could change. There's no cover or anything, but The Keeper of Magical Things by Julie Leong, and set in the same world as The Teller of Small Fortunes. Set in the same world as The Teller of Small Fortunes, but with new characters, except for one notable overlap of a side character. It's a sapphic, standalone, cozy fantasy with strong Stardew Valley vibes. That is coming directly from the author herself on Reddit. This is the first book that I read on eArc on NetGalley, and I bought a copy because I thought this was so fucking cute. I really liked it, so yeah, sign me the fuck up for more from this author. And then on October 9th, we have Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. This one is fantasy, romance. I think I read something that it's a little extra smutty. The synopsis, blurb, whatever, is Adam has been in love with his best friend Nicola since college, but the closest he can come to admitting his feelings is inviting her to travel with him to Scotland in search of a legendary cave from his grandfather's bedtime stories. When a storm washes out the road, Adam and Nicola find themselves at the mercy of Eileen, an eccentric aristocrat, and Finley, her brooding groundskeeper. The Americans quickly get more than they bargained for as they become entangled in Eileen and Finley's world of mind games, kink, and ancient enchantment. So yeah, I think it's kind of like an erotica situation, but it's S.T. Gibson. I'm gonna check it out. October 23rd, The Blackfire Blade by James Lagan. Is it Lagan or Logan? Am I a dumbass? It is Logan. The character's name is Lakin, and it gets me confused every time. This is the second book in the Last Legacy series. I was looking over here at the first book, which is The Silverblood Promise. I wasn't obsessed with this, but I liked it a lot. Very just like fun, kind of more traditional adventure, questy, fantasy stuff. And I had a fun time with it. And then the last one in October, coming out October 28th, supposedly, Incarnadine by Tasha Suri. Have no image for this one either. It's fantasy. This book is the story of a knight and a witch who must live out their doomed love story lifetime after lifetime. If they fail to fall in love and die at each other's hands, their isle, a magical elsewhere Britain that feeds on stories, will crumble into the Incarnadine Sea. This is also the story of Simran and Veena. They're not what they're meant to be, and this lifetime, they're determined not to die. I'm sure it's gonna be just so angsty and full of pining and tragedy, and I'm fucking ready. And then in November, I believe the next Monstrous will be coming out, Volume 10 by Marjorie Liu, fantasy, graphic novel. I need to catch up, actually, with that. And then some that I have on my list, there's 5 of them that I'm just like, I'm not exactly sure when. The first one I know is coming out next year. That's the plan. Not sure when because of things on the back end, admin things on her side. But Dark Shores #2 by Elliot Brooks. There's not an official cover yet, but there is artwork for the cover that she said I could share here. She has shared it on her channel. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. I did get the audiobook. There is now an audiobook that you can get for it on Audible, and I did get that, definitely. When I reread, I'm gonna listen to the audiobook. She got a great narrator and very exciting, so definitely go check that out. And then by J.D. Evans, the next book in the Mages of the Wheel series, Mountain and Memory, I believe is the name. Not sure if/when that's coming out next year. I would assume so, but unsure. It's self-published as well, so as with Elliot's, there's stuff on the back end, editing, working with other people, things get pushed back, life gets in the way, and these things definitely happen. So I assume that one will be coming out probably next year, but don't have a date and don't know for sure. And then I haven't even caught up. I read the first book so many years ago. It took so long for book 2 to come out, and I haven't read it yet. But the Cinder Spires series by Jim Butcher, I'm thinking the third one will probably come out. And then there's 2 that are like wishful thinking. The first one is The Old Guard, book 3. And then this one I should probably just take off the fucking list forever. I keep every year putting it on with a question mark and an LOL. So I have Winds of Winter, LOL, by George R. R. Martin. We can keep dreaming, right? And that is all that I have for now. Like I said, some might get pushed back. There might be other ones that I forgot about or that I had no awareness of until later and that I add to the list. But for now, that's the list. Let me know if you are excited for any of these, or did I mention any that you hadn't heard of that you're now excited for? As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.